Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Is that good? Okay, great. I will make sure to sort of eat the mic because I know we've got a big crowd here tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. Just so you understand the run of show, I'm going to do a quick 20-minute overview with a few important topics, updating the community of Forestville, and then I'm going to hand it over to our MAC reps, and MAC stands for Municipal Advisory Council. And then from there, we'll move on to, I think, regional parks, Caltrans, Forestville Planning Association Chamber, and then an update on visions for the Molino campus. So starting off, I do want to share, can I raise your hand if you are familiar with what a municipal advisory council is? Does anybody? That's actually pretty good. That makes me happy. For those of you who don't know what it is, when I was running for office, I was really frustrated at the fact that unincorporated communities don't really have a voice. All you get to do is vote for one member of the Board of Supervisors, which means that that person can easily be outvoted by people that you didn't get a chance to actually elect or to actually vote for. And so we formed early on after I got elected the first time, two municipal advisory councils, one for the lower Russian River and one for the coast. And we actually allow our communities to self-select who serves on that municipal advisory council. And so in this area, we actually have two reps for the community of Forestville and then one for Hacienda. And then we also actually have alternates as well, who in many ways just participate just as much as the primary representative. So you will be hearing from them. And the goal for that, for me, is so that they really are that community voice and they liaise with all of the other organizations that are in the community to bring the issues to me. And we also make sure that our awesome 5th District team, including Debbie Ramirez, who you heard from earlier, and I think Tracy Lyons is here as well, that we're all trying to support our municipal advisory council members so that they can accomplish what their goals are for the community. So that's a little bit about Max. The next thing that I want to talk about is a little bit further downriver from here, but it's very exciting. I worked pretty hard on the Monterey Redwoods Regional Park, which is a beautiful place to go take a walk or actually mountain bike if you haven't been up there. And we are currently embarking on the master plan for that park. At the same time, don't get confused, this is just the original 500-ish acres. We also, hopefully coming before the Board of Supervisors in May, will actually be transferring 1,500 acres immediately adjacent to it for the Monterey Redwoods expansion, which was previously owned by a timber harvest company, in which we are going to turn into a giant park to connect Monterey all the way to the coast. So very, very exciting. But this is the first 500 acres, but we want your input on what you'd like that to look like. And then once we move forward with the rest, we will have another planning process. And a huge shout out to Save the Redwoods League. They have been the lead acquisition organization for that 1,500 acre expansion. They were also the league on Silver Estates. Is anyone familiar with the Silver Estates parcel? People in Guerneville, that was about to have a serious logging kind of operation conducted on it. We were actually able to work with the league to buy it, get it transferred over to the Russian River County Sanitation District, and someday it will become a regional park as well. So good news for parks in the lower Russian River. And is Jackie here? Is Jackie Brazil here from? Yes, she is, as always. I just want to say, we are not there yet, but we continue to work with Jackie, who is an amazing champion for the Forestville skate spot, and we are working on that. And so, yeah, so just shout out to them, and thank you so much, Jackie, for your advocacy. All right, Wohler Bridge, who's here? Who wants to talk about Wohler Bridge? All right, okay. So this is really one of the biggest bummers in a long time in terms of timing. So this Wohler Bridge replacement project is literally decades old. And when I was first elected, and so, you know, I was in office for like all of 3 months, the California Transportation Commission, which oversees all of Caltrans and all bridge projects statewide, came to Sonoma County just to yell at us for not having fixed our bridges that they had funded 2 decades prior. So I said, you know, it wasn't my fault for like the first 20 years, but I will move forward with it. And Johannes Hovertz, who's our Director of Public Infrastructure, he also got the same chewing out by the CTC. And so we really, you know, they kind of gave us a deadline, and it was really use it or lose it money. So the bummer thing about Wohler is that I did try very hard to push it back a couple months to buy us a little bit of time to try to get West Side Road fixed. it is use it or lose it, both with the permits that we have and also with the $17 million of funding that we have. So unfortunately, it will be closed on April 1st. But I have some good news, not the best news, but a little bit better news about West Side Road. So we've been going back and forth, and there were 3 possible solutions for West Side Road. One was a Bailey Bridge. That was looking really great because we actually have the Bailey Bridge. Turns out you need to put a Bailey Bridge on steel. There's a problem with steel right now. You can't get it, tariffs. So that kind of killed that project. We even had $350,000 already earmarked by the Board of Supervisors that could have funded a Bailey Bridge. Can't get the steel, so you can't put in the Bailey Bridge. Number 2 was a temporary retaining wall that would have allowed 1 lane of traffic to go open. That's going to actually take about as long as the permanent retaining wall, and it would cost about half as much, and we'd have to tear it down. So it didn't really make sense, like a good use of taxpayer dollars to go spend potentially $750,000 to build a wall you'd have to tear down. So the third option is we actually aggressively pursue the permanent fix as quickly as we possibly can. So on April 15th, it will come before the Board of Supervisors for more than $5 million of funding. That will include the $1.5 million of funding to fix West Side Road. Johannes Hoberts promised me that after I met with him on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, that he would actually start getting bids from contractors to do that work. So the second that we have the funding from the Board of Supervisors, we can hit go and we can actually try to start and fix that as quickly as we possibly can. He says that we don't need any more permits and they have the engineering done. So they are literally ready to get it out to contractors. And we don't have to actually do a full bidding process because it's an emergency. So we're able to work with the contractors who do emergency work for the county to get it done. So my hope is that it's going to be a huge pain and it's going to really suck for a couple months, but I'm hoping that it's only going to be 2 or 3 months. And really trying to get that as expedited. Trust me, I will be on public infrastructure every day on that one because I know how frustrating it is to have to drive an hour around for something that should be 15 minutes. And we are also in very close coordination with the Sheriff's Office, Sonoma County Fire District, and CHP, making sure that everyone's aware of the detour, and that, my goal is really to make sure that we don't have the double closure during fire season. And so that way, if we try to get everything going as quickly as we can, knock on wood, hopefully we avoid that. Next up, I do know that there is a lot of community advocacy around the proposed asphalt plant. And I know it's super frustrating, but legally, I am actually not allowed to make comments about a project that could ultimately come before the Board of Supervisors. And so that's because, when it's a policy, of course I can share to anybody, what do I think about a given policy? But when a land use project actually comes before the board, we actually serve in a quasi-adjudicatory role, which means that we're kind of like a judge. And so if we actually show bias, either for or against, could be either way, we actually have to recuse ourselves. And I really don't want to have to recuse myself on something that actually is happening in the district that I represent. So we will definitely be tracking everyone's feedback. We will definitely be tracking the process. And if you have any questions about process or about how to appropriately comment in that process, we can definitely help you with that. So a little bit of update on process. It's still in the very early stages. The draft environmental impact report, or DEIR, is currently anticipated to be ready for circulation in late 2026 at the earliest. So we're talking about end of next year. And then after circulation, the DEIR would go to the Planning Commission for review and public comment before ultimately going to the Board of Supervisors. So I just want to share that. And then Stephen Shirk, which is STEPHEN SCHURKE, is the reviewer assigned to that project. And I spelled his name because it's Stephen.Shirk@sonoma-county.org if you want to send any emails. And we've also, I think, sent that out via email newsletter as well, and can provide that information with you afterwards. So I think I've got about 10 minutes for any questions. If anyone has any questions about, honestly, anything that I talked about, but really anything that I talked about didn't talk about that is, County Board of Supervisors business. Yeah, I got it here. I'll write it. Yeah.
You might have to turn it on.
All right. Well,
Oh,
everybody hear me? Yeah, I got it. Oh, you can hear me? All right, that works. So thank you so much for, talking about the West Side Road. It was pretty amazing how quickly you went through that. But 2 months? That's it? Just 2 months? I mean, that's how long it's going to take. I mean, for all of us that have businesses and live down there and have to trek all the way through, not to mention if there's a first responder issue, if there's a fire issue, all the businesses, earthquake, there's mudslides. I mean, and it's just, that's it. It's just, oh, it's gonna take 2 months. That's your final answer.
My final answer is that if we do not move forward with repairing Wohler Bridge, we will lose the $17 million that we have to fix it. And then if we have an earthquake, I can guarantee that the thing will crumble into the river because it is a seismic safety project. And so if there's any other potential solutions, the road, I don't know, have you been out to see West Side Road? Because it fell into the river, and in addition to falling out into the river, it's unstable underneath of the road. So it's not something that you can just like throw some cold patch on and drive across. It's a pretty severe engineering challenge. So we are. So in order to fix something that has geologic instability, you actually have to do an engineering and analysis of the soil and also do some engineering. And so we have done that. And now we're looking for the money to get the people started to get that to work as quickly as possible. I saw a question up here.
I'd like an update on the housing element and all 6 sites if possible.
So an update on the housing element is that the housing element, gotta stay away from that, went and sent over to the state. So we are no longer in a builder's remedy situation. Those sites are just, which means that way if someone applies for housing, it has to go through a normal application process, and it's not kind of a pretty much an automatic approval. We don't have any active applications that I'm aware of in the community of Forestville on any of the upzoned properties. And I'm just going to glance over at Tracy. I don't think that she's aware of any projects either. We do have an active application in Grayton, but none to my knowledge in Forestville. So essentially that's an upzoning process, but unless the property owner actually has a desire to build housing on that site, then there will not be a project moving forward. And we definitely heard from some of the property owners that they didn't even really want their property included, and they have no desire to build housing on the site. So I'm not aware of anything happening right now with respect to the housing element in Forestville. So yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering on Wohler Road where it collapsed and it's almost to the midline, and it looks like if anybody got near it, they'd fall down in the creek about a 20-foot drop. Wondered what's the status on that. It's been weeks.
That is a great question. I actually just learned about this at the Sebastopol Senior Center because I hadn't driven that way in a little while, and someone mentioned it to me, and that will also be coming before the Board of Supervisors on April 15th for funding for Wohler and also for Giovanetti, actually, for the fix for the culvert failure there. So that is also relevant to the Forestville community. This sort of site on Wohler has not actually caused a full road failure yet, but it is being closely monitored by public infrastructure as well as CHP. And I know they've had meetings with CHP, regarding the status of the road and ensuring that's open, because if that went down, it would be even more of a headache because we would have the 3 routes across the river really impacting the communities around Wohler Bridge. All right, I've got one back here.
Hi. Is the county considering, I've heard a rumor, dealing with the Calieros family about Electrovector?
What?
The Electrovector property, the county, I've heard rumors they would like that, because that would be the housing project you could do.
I have not heard any activity from the county. I would assume that would be like CDC, and they always let us know if something's going on. So I have not heard of any potential acquisition or efforts to acquire that property. The question is, do I know if the environmental is clean now? And I do not know the current status of that property. I do know that it was previously identified as a kind of brownfield site. All right, and I want to make sure I'm not ignoring behind me. So I'll go here and then I'll jump over there.
I think most of us are pretty curious about the speed limit on Mirabel Road. We just have down the road.
So you just pinpointed one of my biggest frustrations in local government, which is that the state has really stupid laws where they literally base the speed limit on how fast people drive on a road. And so they just go out there, and I can't remember if it's set at 80 percent or the 80 something percentile. It's a percent of what the sort of average speed that is driven, which we all know that people drive way too fast, and they especially drive too fast on places that people live or where they're trying to cross the street, to access a school or a grocery store or any kind of, or the river or all of these things. And so there was a state bill that was passed, if it wasn't last year, it might have been the year before, that allows us to reduce the speed limit, but it doesn't really get kind of connector roads. It really is kind of more about very densely populated roads, kind of more like what you would see really like, in maybe Rio Nito or, like very, very kind of densely packed small parcels. Or if there are sort of a certain number of schools or businesses, we can also drop the speed limit. I have requested through the Sonoma County Transportation Authority, which I am currently the chair of, that we actually conduct a county-wide survey and try to educate all the jurisdictions to see if there are any roads where we can lower the speed limit. And then I would also suggest reaching out, which we're happy to help with, to our state legislators to see if there can be further reforms, because I would love to see the speed limit go down, and not just because people put up some pretty good fakes over a county sign, but actually go down legally. Because the other thing is that we can actually set lower speed limits, like we could just do that, but they're unenforceable. And so that means that CHP, no one can actually catch somebody for going over the speed limit. The other thing that I want to mention, we've done a lot of research because we have this issue all over rural West County of speeding, and you can put up those permanent signs, and they've done studies and people basically tune them out after like a month or two. And so that's why we try to use the mobile sign and kind of move it around, because when things change, that's when people pay attention and actually modify their behavior. But if you have any suggestions on how to lower the speed limit, speed bumps, anything like that, we can, we're happy to incorporate that feedback. So not there, but there are other places where I've had requests for speed bumps. So yes, yeah. We're down to 2 minutes. So we're gonna get through it. I will also just, so you know, if there's any questions that you have for me that don't get answered, I will be sticking around afterwards and happy to answer questions. We do have a packed agenda.
Hi, Linda. We're curious why the bridge needs to be closed for 7 months to do the construction work. It seems like it could be done in phases. We understand they're going to replace the roadbed, which obviously you can't drive across it when the roadbed is gone, but they also have to do foundation work and such. Seems like if they could work that out to where it doesn't have to be closed 24/7 for 7 months, we'd just like to get some answers as to why that's the case.
And I am not an engineer, so I cannot pretend to know the answer to that question. But what I can promise is that, and that's the kind of question that I would love to have public infrastructure, who has the team of engineers, answer. They were unable to be here tonight, but we are going to set up a specific meeting about Wohler and West Side, and we will have a community meeting somewhere where we will have public infrastructure. It'll be me, it'll be James Gore. We'll try to get the sheriff's office there as well to really dive into the details. Because I think that also when there's a construction project like this, communication is really important. So once we get a contractor on board, what I would love to see happen is that someone has the phone number of whoever in the contractor's company, right? And there's a direct line of communication between, say, one neighbor who can then liaise and provide information to the whole neighborhood and someone in the contracting company. And we've done that with other situations where we had construction projects. But I would love to phase it if there's an opportunity to phase it, if there are opportunities for breaks so that you don't have to do this, for that long, solid 24/7. I would love to see that, but I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer those questions. All right, I got one over there. I think this is gonna be the last one, and then we have to get to our Municipal Advisory Council members.
Question is the roundabout at Mirabel and River Road still a plan? It used to be on the counties, if you went to the website, and now it's not there anymore. And they need something down there. Mirabel and River Road.
So I know that the roundabout in downtown is not. So just want to confirm that, because I know that still comes up in the community every once in a while. I believe that is still slated for improvements, but that and we are looking potentially to measure DD, which was the Go Sonoma initiative, which was the reauthorization of the roads funding that new sales tax that was passed by voters. And I believe that is still on the list. We are also working actually with regional parks on Mirabel shoulders and kind of getting bike and pedestrian access down, kind of connecting basically downtown. down towards Spears. So those are some things, but I can get back to you if I can get your contact information. I can double check where we are on the funding for that plan. You don't happen to have an idea of watching Metro DD funding, because I know you stock all the funding sources. What? Okay, but in a certain number of years, yeah. 27. Yeah. Okay, with construction, apparently we have full funding, really, you think? Or for shoulders or for roundabout? For shoulders, okay, shoulders is funded, we don't know about roundabout, shoulders is funded, okay, all right. I'll get back to you on the roundabout funding. River and Mirabel, yeah, with the triangle. No schedule. Okay. Oh, are you with public infrastructure? You're secretly with public infrastructure, okay, all right. All right, not gonna throw you under the bus right now with the Wooler Road. We will have it, but will you be around for the duration of the meeting? No, okay, darn, okay, all right, well, is there anything you want to share about Wooler before I hand it over to our Municipal Advisory Council? Not your project, okay, all right, okay. We will though have a follow-up meeting, I promise, about Wooler and West Side with myself and James Gore, because that is sort of, close, right on the border of the 4th and 5th districts. And we will go at the sheriff's office. We will get whoever from public infrastructure is in charge of that project on that. And hopefully by then we will also actually have a contractor. So we will actually have the people who are going to be doing the construction, and they will be attending that meeting as well. With that, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our amazing Municipal Advisory Council reps who are from this area. So we've got Ty Hilton, Lonnie Lazar, Carrie Hernandez, Vicky Clues, and Faye Zamora, who is our student member representing the Youth Voice and a Forestville resident. So if you all want to come on down, awesome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lonnie Lazar. I am a trust and estate planning attorney living here in Forestville, just behind the school here over on Orchard Lane, not far away. You can find me on the web. My website is lazarlegal.com. My email address is lawnbud@mac.com, and I have enjoyed being your MAC representative for in my 2nd year. It's been really great.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Vicky Clues. I'm the rep for Hacienda, which is Western Forestville, includes the neighborhoods of Moms Beach, Forest Hills, Hollydale, Canyon Terrace, Summer Home Park, and others. And I'm now in my 2nd term as a MAC rep for Hacienda, so I have about a year and a little more left before I term out. And we're always looking for people who would like to take our place. So please consider it. This is the kind of council that really can be a voice for what are a lot of concerns that we all have. So we would appreciate you being engaged. I also happen to be the vice chair of the council, and I'd love to hear from all of you about what you would like to see on future agendas. We're always looking for good topics to cover. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie Hernandez. I'm an alternate for Forestville, and I live in Mirabel Heights. You're going to see me walk around Mirabel Heights, walking on the trail over here. If you see me, stop, talk to me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what's on your mind and what I can do to help bring any concerns, questions. I want to learn. I want to help facilitate that process. So I really want to share that it's a great way to get involved, talk to us. We have meetings once a month. If you're not able to come in person, come by Zoom, you can do something else, but it's a great way to stay in touch with what's going on, especially because as we're unincorporated. So this is a beautiful way that we can stay connected, share what's on your mind. And I really do want to hear from everyone. So thanks so much.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ty Hilton. I'm a Forestville rep with Lon. My day job, I work for the Department of Health Services. I live in I don't know if the neighborhood has a name, the Hidden Lake / Ellen Lane neighborhood. I see a couple neighbors here, so thank you all for coming. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add other than what the other MAC reps have said, other than we are always looking for more participation at the MAC. We want folks to show up to the meetings. And if you can't make the meetings or you don't have time to come online, we all have our contact information.
we're gonna be at the table over there. You can get a QR code, sign up for the D5 newsletter. You can also get our email addresses. Happy to talk to anybody about any of the issues. I am not a voting member of the board, so I can listen to you about and talk to you about certain projects. Happy to do that. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Faye. Oh, the meetings are on the second Thursday of every month at 5:30 p.m. And they are generally in the Bank of America building in Guerneville.
Hi, my name is Faye Zamora. I'm a student at Annalyn High School, and I am the teen representative for the River Mac. This is a new position this year that I got offered, and I'm glad to be a part of. I'm just here to offer a youth and teen perspective on community issues. So if you think that you have issues or perspectives that I may be able to contribute to, please let me know. Thank you.
Questions?
So just, can I get like a even more rousing round of applause for these awesome human beings? And one thing that I want to share is that we recently had an all MAC meeting where we actually had municipal advisory councils from all over Sonoma County. So the North County ones, the East County ones, then also some neighborhood associations, the neighborhood action team in Moreland was there as well. And I'll be honest, like everyone else was kind of jealous because these guys get stuff done. And so, you know, they're extremely effective. They really take their job of, you know, listening to the community and then advancing projects through the county seriously. And it is a completely non-glorious, non-paid, all volunteer position. And they do amazing work. And it's been everything from commenting on policy. So actually tackling our vacation rental policy, which was very controversial in the lower Russian River. And they brought forward recommendations to tackling what is one of our biggest problems always in unincorporated communities, trash. How do we deal with that? Who's picking it up? How do we clean up the river? And so, and then also just focusing on communication. So they do have a table. The table is up there, yes, and at the front desk, and they will be there hanging out. So feel free to come and meet your amazing MAC representatives, and you can ask them questions there. We're not going to put them in the firing line tonight, I was told. So,
I just want to make one other comment. We wouldn't be able to do what we do as a MAC without the support of the D5 office. They do a ton of work to get our meetings going. So kudos to them. So
thank you so much for all of your work. Really, really appreciate it. And anything else? Any final words? Good?
So Linda commented on the All MAC meeting, and what I want to make sure everyone knows is that the one highlight I got from talking to everybody else in other parts of the county was that they don't always have the ear of their supervisor. And we do. She listened. And it's really important that that's why we want more feedback from you, because that's the way we communicate. So it goes both ways with Linda. So thank you.
The other thing that I want to mention, I just want to thank you for actually attending the All MAC meeting. Just last thing, that one of the great things I think is that if we do more coordinating between all of the MACs, my other colleagues who also have MACs will listen more to you. So I think that cross-pollination can actually help empower the unincorporated voice kind of countywide and get the board to change. So thank you very much for all of your work. Next up, we have regional parks and public infrastructure. Which is not going to be talking about Wohler Bridge and West Side Road, but rather talking about the Mirabel bike and pedestrian paths and lanes. And so we have Ken Tam and Steve Errett from Regional Parks, and we have Ogwin Kaban from Transportation, actually no, the entity formerly known as Transportation and Public Works, now known as Public Infrastructure. So Ken, are you going to take it away?
Good evening, everyone. Ken Tam with Regional Parks. So this is, give you an update on the Mirabel Road corridor improvements as well as the West County Trail. This is actually a joint. Can someone dim the lights? Sorry about that, technical difficulties. So this is a joint project with Public Works or Public Infrastructure and Regional Parks. So we just kind of go over a little bit the difference between the two departments. And again, this is a joint project. Regional parks primarily focus on development of regional class 1 bike paths. So if everyone here used the West County Joe Rodota Trail, you're familiar with that. That's our department. That's kind of like our area. That's what we work on. Public infrastructure, primarily any bike lanes, road improvements, it's their project. So this particular project we're working on is a joint project because they have a project as well as our department has a project along this corridor along Mirabel Road. So this particular project has been on the county books for many, many years now, as you may have heard. And the reason we're moving this project forward now, we actually have funding to move forward with the preliminary designing, completing, as well as the environmental work for this project. So can you go to the next slide? So what you're seeing here is a map of the project limits. I also have a board of the area where Tracy's located. You can actually look at it later on, and it gives you a little enlargement of the view. So the project limits for this project starts at the intersection of Highway 116 and Mirabel Road, and continuing north all the way it ends at River Road. So the project components they included is shoulder winding on both sides of Mirabel Road, and it goes again from 116 all the way to River Road. The winding will actually go up to 7 feet, so you'll have 7 feet shoulders on both the east and west side. So yeah, you're saying wow, because right now there's really nothing there, right? I mean, you have that little pathway on the east side, but it's very, very narrow shoulders, if any. So this is really a safety project to provide more buffer along the shoulder on both sides. So the shoulders, in addition to serving as a bike lane for bicyclists to use, but it also will serve as the emergency lane. And what I mean by that is that, for instance, if there's a disabled vehicle that needs to pull off the shoulder so it doesn't block the lane, it gives the ability for the vehicle to pull over either on the west side or east side, depending which way they're traveling, to pull over on one side. The road improvements also includes left-hand turn lanes at Juicy Lane and Davis Road for both the northbound and southbound direction. So if you see that little circle here, it's not a roundabout, it's a left-hand or left-hand turn lanes, okay? So make sure I clarify that. So the other piece that's also included in this project is the extension of the West County Trail. So we completed the one in downtown Forestville, and thank you very much for the Forestville Planning Association as well as community working with us. We were able to get that section done. So the next phase is try to link this the existing section of the West County Trail to get it all the way down to Davis Road. So the West County Trail extension is going to be about 8 feet wide, and it will only be on the east side, and it would start at the intersection of 116 and end at Davis Road. Right, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So some of you may have seen this color graphic maybe in a prior meeting or so, but I've shown this, purpose of showing this particular slide is just to show the connectivity. So this is not an engineering drawing, but it's more of a kind of cartoon drawing to show the connectivity of where the existing trail will connect to future improvements. So this is showing the future improvements along Front Street, or also known as Highway 116. That is a separate project from the Mirabel Road project. Just want to let everybody know, again, it's a separate project. But the purpose of me showing this slide is to show you how the connection will continue for the West County Trail, which will be on the south side to the crosswalk to connect down to Mirabel Road. All right, next slide on. All right, so here's just a quick summary of the project scope. So the first bullet point is the widening of Mirabel Road shoulders to accommodate the 7 feet wide bike lanes on the west and east side of Mirabel Road from Highway 116 down to River Road. So that's roughly about 1.3 miles is the length. The other bullet point, I've actually already mentioned, so the white shows will also serve as an emergency lane. And the third bullet point I mentioned is about the both directions for the left-hand turn pocket on Mirabel Road at the intersection for Hacienda Road and Davis for northbound and southbound travel. And lastly is the 8 feet wide extension of the West County Trail down to Davis Road, and that will extend the trail to another 0.6 miles. Next slide. So what I have here is this photograph of an existing West County Trail. If you're familiar with this particular section, it's right next to Andy's Market. And the purpose of me showing this graphic, we're still doing the preliminary design. It's not final yet. We're still doing that work. But this kind of photo kind of gives you kind of a visual what the improvements will look like. So here we actually have the West County Trail on the left side of the photo, and that's what's considered a class 1, 8 feet wide pathway that bicyclists and pedestrians can use. So it's multi-use trail for both user types. The next thing adjacent to that, you'll have a buffer. Then you have the bike lane, or also the considered the emergency lane. So it serves the bike lane and emergency lane. The next, then you have the northbound travel lane. Then the next right adjacent to that is the left-hand turn pocket. So this is actually on 116, it's a continuous left-hand turn pocket. So what we'll have in Mirabel, it's not a continuous one, it's just short segments to allow the cars to queue for the northbound and southbound traffic. But this was the only photo I could find that closest matches in terms of the design. So next after that, then you have the southbound vehicle travel lane. All right, next slide. So currently the project schedule, we have consultants on board. We're working on the environmental work and the preliminary engineering. So sometimes you might have seen some consultants out there with survey equipment, surveying the land. That's what they're doing. They're gathering all the information for the design work. After the preliminary design is done, they'll move forward to do additional evaluation to determine what right-of-way acquisition is needed, as well as the utility poles. So some of the utility poles that you see out there will probably need to be relocated to move to make room for the shoulder widening. Right now we're anticipating to complete the design engineering by spring of 2026 and start the construction in spring 2026 and into winter 26-27. So I want to make a note about the construction. A lot of times we'll come up with a budget and kind of estimate what it would cost, but when we put it out to bid, hopefully the bids will come in within budget. If it comes in with budget, we could move forward with construction. If not, then we're going to need to look at more additional funding to fund the construction work. Next slide. So my contact information is on the screen, as well as Ogden. So if you have any questions in regards to the West County Trail Extension Trail, my contact information is there. Ogden's contact information in regards to the road winding, as well as left-hand turn lanes. Before I open up for questions, I'm going to pass it to my team. Steve, Ogden, is there anything else that I missed? All right, I'm seeing a thumbs up from my boss. It's good. All right. Okay, I'll go ahead and open to questions.
I'm gonna go for questions.
Hello. I have a question. The problem of people speeding on Mirabel Road, I have to go into Santa Rosa a lot, and I take Rubley Road, and it's 25 miles an hour, and they have these ridiculous speed bumps in the road. Is there any way to add that type of impressive speed bump to Mirabel Road to slow people down? I mean, it seems like if you're there anyway.
Yeah, so Supervisor Hopkins is
Maybe get a little closer.
closer. Okay, is that better? So Supervisor Hopkins is, she has some energy knowledge. So yes, 80 percentile on speed limits is correct. So there's rumble strips from what we could look into, either installing or uninstalling them in certain locations.
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Just maybe the last bit.
The last bit, okay, we can look into installing or uninstalling the rumble strips that on certain roads in the county, so.
My understanding is this correct, is that speed bumps are really, it depends on the speed limit and the general sort of flow of traffic of the road as to whether or not that is a potential engineering solution. Is that correct?
That is correct. There's usually an ordinance or a warrant that it needs to satisfy for any speed reducing items.
And I will say that I've actually been pushing us to revisit our policy on the Board of Supervisors, because right now, I would say it's not very permissive in terms of traffic calming measures that we can go. There's a lot of concern about liability. You know, if someone hits a speed bump and damages their vehicle, and you can always find 1,000 reasons not to do something, and I'm trying to find some reasons to do it. So we actually might bring that policy back before the Board of Supervisors later this year. And if that happens, I will absolutely let everyone know, and hopefully folks can turn out and advocate. But if you do have a specific proposal, like rumble strips in a certain area or a speed hump on a slower road, please email our office and we can forward it to public infrastructure for the engineering analysis and consideration. I will say that the rumble strips can be controversial because they do make noise. And so sometimes neighbors get grumpy and then they want them taken out. So just it's not a no, just a cautionary note.
All right, Dan Northern, any crosswalks at Juicy and Nolan or Davis Nolan and Spear and Juicy and Davis? I risk my life every day trying to cross the road, walking the dog. I know there's a lot of people that appreciated the 35-mile-an-hour signs because it worked. We don't enforce anyway. So what difference does it make? Why don't we just put the 35s back? Don't enforce it, it worked. Anyway, crosswalks, because you got at Davis and Juicy is the bus stop. So the kids are getting out of the bus on the west side. They're having to cross traffic at 55 miles an hour because that's how fast people drive there. And then they have to go back the other way. So it seems like a logical thing to do to have some crosswalks there also, in addition to slowing people down. Thank you.
No, that's a great point. As you said, it's logical. As an engineer, we still need to go through our studies on that stuff. So it's something that we are considering to put crosswalks at those two locations.
Yeah, I believe that is part of the plan, is looking at crosswalks. I thought maybe it might not be the first phase, but in one of the subsequent phases. Ken, can you confirm if there are crosswalks as part of that plan?
Yeah, Mirabel Road right now.
Mirabel Road, yeah. Do you think it might be on a second or third phase? Because I was just looking at the Measure DD document and I did notice some conversation about crosswalks. So it might be in a subsequent phase, but we do also have, I believe we might still have a balance in the quarry mitigation fund that we could look to if there are other smaller improvements that we want to do in coordination. Steve is looking like he's already spent that money, but I don't know. Yes. Okay. Send me an email and we can definitely follow up. Because actually another thing is that we have done is we actually set aside some of our infrastructure fund for specifically crosswalks. And so if these are, I will say that the ones with the lights are super expensive, but there are different levels of crosswalks that we can consider. So send me an email and we can follow up, because I know that we do have some district specific funding that we parked in public infrastructure to work on that. And as for the speed signs, I just want to say, legally, I cannot comment one way or another, but I was a little bit proud of whoever did a really amazing replica of those speed limit signs and brought them down to a better speed. So that's all. And I saw someone over here that was frantically waving, and then I'll come back on this side.
Thank you. I live on Mirabel and I've been excited for the bike lane for, how long was that, for 12 years. I used to weed whack so my kids could get to El Molino easier on the side of the road. But I will say I'm a little confused. So we're talking 7 feet plus 7 feet plus 8 feet plus a barrier. So it seemed like we're talking about adding almost 30 feet to Mirabel, and I'm curious where that's coming from.
Yep. So if you look at the existing width, the configuration of the lanes of northbound, southbound, so that's what you have. You have 2 travel lanes, northbound, southbound. Then on east side, on the east side of one of the travel lanes, you'll have a 7 feet shoulder. It's adjacent to the travel lane. Then on the west side, adjacent to the travel lane, southbound, you'll have another 7 feet. So it's going to be 7, 12, 12-7.
So how much does that add to, how much width are we adding to Mirabel, I guess is the question.
Total width.
14, yeah, around 14.
Yeah.
And then also the trail.
Trail separate.
So that's another 8 plus the divider. So I guess my question is, where is all this land coming from? And the second part of my question is, my understanding for traffic mitigation, one of the ways you slow down traffic is by both visually and practically making the lane seem smaller. So my concern is that if we're adding 30 feet width to Mirabel, that we're actually going to increase the speed of trucks going up and down it. And again, I'm super in favor of the bike lane. It feels a little overkill and might have the opposite effect of speeding up traffic.
Yeah, no, that's not the intent. As I mentioned, the travel lane width will stay the same. We're not giving them another lane to travel speed on. What we're doing is providing that shoulder, that buffer for bicycles to use. That makes sense. So, so you were asking the question about the right of way, how much room? That's the reason surveyors are out there surveying where the public right of way line is and getting that information back to the design engineers to evaluate.
The other thing I just want to mention about shoulders is that it's actually a big desire of our public safety agencies, our fire districts, and we do have a fire station, on that road. And so in terms of it, that's actually a critical emergency egress for the community of Forestville. And so that's also, I know, was one of the original intentions of the plan back in the day when this was first proposed. Okay, so time is up, but I saw one hand over here that I want to make sure we get this one last question in.
Thank you. My name's Dan. I live out on Bellatini Road, but I'm a runner, and I'm oftentimes finding my way into town and back. And one of the things I've noticed, just as an add-on comment with the crosswalks, is that it's unsafe to go from Rotten Robbie's up to the post office mall. And so when we get to the discussion around sidewalks, I think that would be a great place to have one as well, to kind of connect downtown with that little mall.
We have one more hand over here.
Okay, we're out of time, so if it's quick. Get my steps in today, up here, up the steps.
In answer to the question you said, okay, so where are you gonna get this property to widen Mirabel Road? Whose front yards and property is that gonna be? Yeah, because it's gonna be in, my front, not my kitchen.
Well, definitely at the intersection of Juicy and Davis for sure. At the intersection of Juicy and Davis for sure. These are the left-hand turn pockets. Yes. Okay. So we will be putting a storm drain system for the existing drainage ditches. Right. No, I understand. It's just depending on the taper of the road when we put in the left-hand turn pockets.
So it sounds like this is a site-specific question about your stretch of road and where the width is going to come to accommodate the bike lane and both lanes and the shoulder. Is that correct? So it sounds like what we need to do is get you actually specific designs. And my understanding is that surveyors, are we complete with the survey, or are they actually out in the fields or imminently?
They should be complete by now.
Okay, so we should have a survey. And I know that in other roads that we've worked on, it's often actually not on the side of the road that you would think. And we're not going to take away a chunk of your house, that I can say affirmatively. Your kitchen is not going to be part of the bike lane. Yeah. Yes, there are. So we have the survey, and I would suggest that why don't we have kind of a follow-up meeting conversation with the survey data and actually look at your particular address and that stretch of road and get the actual sort of engineering designs for where that's going to be and how that's going to fit. Is it? So we can definitely have a follow-up meeting with the specifics and talk about where the right of way in the road is and where the property line boundaries are. But we don't have that. We're not prepared to have that kind of level of detail today, but we can definitely follow up on that.
Oh, I have another one.
All right, you guys wore out the mic. So we're gonna have to go from just up here. Next up, we do have an update from Caltrans, and we have Supervising Manager Gez Tizazu, as well as Transportation Engineer Sahor Yusofi, and also our Public Information Officer Jeff Weiss, who we talk to on pretty much a daily basis in the 5th District office. So come on down, and we're looking forward to learning a little bit more about the county's Front Street Improvements Project.
We'll see if we get applause when we leave. So, yeah, we were coming over here and we were in the carpool because we're Caltrans, saving gas and the environment. And we were discussing what we're going to talk about, because we're going to talk about the project on Front Street. But the Front Street project is not going to be built by Caltrans. It's going to be built by the county. And if you were here last year, you probably heard about the project. And if you weren't here, then we're starting mid-series and you're going to have to catch up. So I apologize for that. But when we were coming over, we were kind of like, we just had this, why are we talking about this project? It's the county's project, right? But at the same time, we were getting this vibe, right? I know this is not very scientific, not very engineer-tific, right? But it was this vibe that like people wanted to know what our relationship was with the project and if we were to blame for anything. So, and me being the public information officer, I got a lot of questions myself about the project. And I didn't know about how to answer those at first because I'd never heard of the project. And that was because it's the county's project. And so it's a little bit like we're the landlord, we own the street, and the county is going to, like it's commercial property, and they're going to make improvements to their property. And we just want to make sure that the improvements follow the rules of the road and, you know, the manuals we have. And the funny thing is that the rules actually are a little more looser for the county. They can do things that we can't do. And that's a matter of money. We don't, probably sick of hearing this thing, but you know, sometimes we don't have enough money for things. But the county has passed a measure, which I congratulate you for, Measure M, where you can fund your own projects and you can get these things done without us. You just need our oversight. And they can do, you know, what would we call it? Maybe a high fashion, you know, street lights where we just put up some luminaire with like a shade. They can do something that doesn't follow our manual, but if as long as they're doing it and they agree to service it, then it can be done. So that's sort of, I hope we it. I'm clarifying it for myself, actually, while I'm standing up here. So I hope I'm helping you. So we brought up someone who knows a lot more than me, Sahar, and she's going to talk her way through this project and give you some details so you can understand not exactly what's being done, but what our responsibility is for the project and why it's not easy, but it's not hard. There's just some rules and regulations and procedures that need to be done so that you get a project that can be done right the first time and we don't have to come back and redo anything. So, sorry.
Hi, my name is Sahar. I'm the permit writer for the encroachment permit process. So because the project is on state highway right of way, it needs an encroachment permit to continue. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay. So again, I'm the permit writer and I work through the permit approval and writing process. So because the project is on state highway right of way, an encroachment permit is required to complete the work and encroach on state highway. So our relationship with the project is we review everything that's being done on the state highway right of way, the excavation, the installments as well. And we ensure that it complies with the policies, highway design manual, and it's reviewed by multiple different divisions, design, hydraulics, materials, just to name a few. And everyone gives their input, ensures that the drawings and the engineering complies with the state policies and design manuals so that the improvements that are being done are safe. And then once everything complies with also the standard specifications and plans, and everyone has approved of the drawings, then I can write the permit. It takes 30 days, but I like to do it much sooner than 30 days. Once I receive approval from everyone, then I can write the permit and it's issued. So right now the process is, it's in the review process. The last submittal that I received was on the 12th of this month, and I sent it for review the next day. My team did, and we are working through multiple reviews. You know, someone then suggested, oh, this person needs to review, so that's in progress. As soon as I receive all the reviews, I send them back to the permittee. I don't just want to send one review and then go back and send another review. I want to wait for a complete review. And then there will be some back and forth until there are no more reviews required. And that's when I have the 30 days to write the permit. But again, I like to do it in less than 30 days. And then another thing that's required that's happening simultaneously is that Sonoma County Public Infrastructure is working on a maintenance agreement to maintain some of the things, like Jeff said, the lights that they want to install, and the pole boxes that are included with the lights. So it's just a maintenance agreement. It's kind of a lengthy process, but because we're doing it at the same time as the review, that's good. It's not going to take extra time, hopefully. So once the maintenance agreement is completed and I receive it and all the reviews are done, I'll be able to issue the permit, and then the encroachment is allowed. And that is our relationship with the project currently.
Any questions for Caltrans? Questions for Caltrans? I'm gonna go back and then I'll come to the front.
For what? New streets, new lights, new.
My question for Caltrans and the county of Sonoma, it's been an issue for a long time. I want to know who is the entity that is going to take care of the trees in downtown Forestville, because they get so big and so long hanging on the sidewalks that somebody's going to get hurt. So the chamber has been taking care of it, but nobody wants to claim those trees. Or the sidewalks. The sidewalks are terrible.
Sahar. We have if you go to the Caltrans website and the District 4 website, there's a section called Customer Service Request. And we get a lot of customer service requests, but it's the best way to get your problem solved. Because like there's 1 or 2 people in my section, but we have about 10 people in the customer service request department. And we take questions like that all the time, and they work directly with maintenance. And a lot of these things are maintenance issues, and they will respond to you. They have sort of a time limit. If they can't answer it, they'll at least, ask for more time, and you'll get a number that you can look at and say, hey, I asked about, here's my number, and we'll answer it. And, there's a lot of things that go into a question like that, whose trees they are, but we can all research that.
in the district office and get you the answer. So customer service request, it's called a CSR. Go to the Caltrans website, District 4, or just the general Caltrans website, and it'll tell you how to get to the District 4 customer service request.
I just want to add something else that is, you know, a lot of times these things were done before there were formal agreements about who is supposed to take care of them. So now, for instance, for the conversations that we're having in Guerneville, as they're redoing the ADA, Caltrans is redoing the ADA down there, like we have to have a signed agreement if we're going to have any tree about who is going to take care of that tree going forward. But what I found is in a lot of towns where this was done a while ago, no one actually agreed. And so it is kind of something that tends to fall through the cracks, but definitely we can follow up on Jeff's suggestion. And we can also follow up from our office side of things and talk to public infrastructure. We still are, you know, we've been coordinating, and I think I owe you a call and a text message with the water district on, there will be some improvements to the sidewalk as a result of that, you know, facelift that we're getting from the quarry mitigation funds. So good opportunity to check in about trees too.
This comment is for Sahar. I'm working with you to get the encroachment permit for the Forestville parade. So nice to meet you. Wendy back here will get you the insurance document as soon as possible. Right, Wendy? Okay, everybody heard that?
So far, that's all I need, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the last time we had a meeting here, you talked about putting a new water line through Front Street. Will that be talked about today?
Do we have the water district on the, you're on the agenda? You'll be up later. Nope, you're not on the agenda. Okay, do you want to say anything about that? The question was about the water line under the sidewalk. Was that that was the question?
Yes, sewer line. Sure.
All right, yeah, I'll do my best to update. The district is working on a system-wide sewer rehabilitation improvement program, and there is some work slated for downtown. We're working with our engineer to sort of determine what the schedule of that's going to look like, understanding that we've got to coordinate with these improvements with the county. We want to make sure that these improvements, if at all possible, get done before the county comes in and does their improvements, and then we have to go back and dig that up. That makes no sense. We want to avoid that potential at all costs. You know, we're just making sure that we've got the adequate funding to do what we need. And so if anybody has questions specific to that project, whether it's downtown or whether it's anywhere that you're seeing sewer line work happening, please feel free to reach out to the district, and we're happy to meet with you and get you up to speed on where we're at.
And I just want to say thank you so much to both of you for working with the county, because that's exactly what was going to happen. We were going to put in brand new sidewalks and they were going to come dig them up. And so collaboration and coordination and making sure that we don't do things that damage new infrastructure is where it's at. So thank you so much. Hey, we have time for one more question? Okay, great.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that if you put CHP on Mirabel Road to slow down the trucks and stuff, they just radio ahead and then all the other truckers notice to slow down. But if we got some, yeah, okay, everybody don't want to be, but I clocked the truck doing 56 in front of Spears the other day. I clocked the truck doing 56 miles an hour in front of Spears the other day. And I think if we had cameras, you know, you get a ticket in the mail, get a couple of cameras up there and you get a ticket in the mail, and they don't know that the CHP doesn't even have to be there.
Are you going to be the one sending me the ticket in the mail? Because okay. All right. I do want to acknowledge, actually, does anyone remember when the vehicle, and just along the lines of, it's not always the trucks. Does anyone remember when the vehicle burritoed itself inside of the Burke's bus? Does anyone remember seeing that? And it's okay, like you can talk about it because the person actually walked away and was totally fine. But that is such a dangerous stretch of road, River Road right there. And we really do need to work on improvements and traffic calming. So we will definitely follow up on that because we've had a number of incidents. That and then over to you know, kind of over by the farmhouse, that stretch basically from the farmhouse, you know, along the river, kind of past Burks and over to Steelhead is an extremely dangerous stretch. We've had a number of incidents there. With that, any other final questions for Caltrans? We're going to hand it over. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. And sorry. And Wendy will be getting you that insurance document so that we can make sure that the Forestville parade happens as scheduled. Great. I believe that Lucy Hardcastle is up next with FPA to provide us some updates from the Forestville Planning Association. And we know that Pie in the Park is going to be coming up again, right? I mean, it's like a few months out, but we can start planning, right? I hear there's going to be a dunk tank. Good to see you.
Thanks, everyone. Lucy Hardcastle. The FBA started in 2002 to provide information to our community because there were so many things we didn't know about. And so we actually started the town halls way back then. And our name, Forestville Planning Association. But now that we're not planning the town halls anymore, that's a MAC event. Thank you for putting those on. We are thinking that maybe the planning in our name doesn't quite fit anymore. So we're thinking about considering ourselves more like partnerships, like we partner with like the Skate Spot, who's going to have a fun run coming up in May 10th. We partner with the chamber to have the chamber use the Oaks Park, for example. So we're just trying to rethink how we can continue to be viable in our community. And one of the things, yes, Pie in the Park, it's a way to raise money for the downtown Oaks Park. Don't forget about the youth park with their barbecue as well. So this is a great community, 2 great parks, so we can do this. One of the things that we've also done is manage the Corey money for community fund. And so I'm going to have Vicki Miller, who's on the board here, talk about the community fund because our applications for that will be opening April 1st. Vicki?
Great to see so many engaged locals here. Thank you all for coming. Okay.
Right on the mic.
Okay, right on the mic, here I am. It's great to see so many engaged community members gathered here today. Thank you all for coming and for supporting our town. My name is Vicki Miller. I've been a resident of Sonoma County since 1998, proudly calling Forestville my home for the past 14 years. I'm looking forward to connecting with many of you as I step into the role of the chair of the Community Fund. The Forestville Community Fund was established in 2007 with the mission of providing cash grants to support innovative programs, educational projects, recreational activities, and special needs that enrich our downtown and our community. First, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our generous benefactors of Canyon Rock and Bodine Quarries. They do a lot for our town, and all of you, don't say that. Okay. Stick to the script. Okay, here we go. Heartfelt thanks. Their annual contributions to the Forestville Community Fund have made a meaningful difference, allowing us to enhance local infrastructure, invest in public amenities like the Forestville Youth Park, support community programs, including a comfort animal initiative for our local elementary school, and beautify our town. The vibrant murals adorning downtown, and it's just one reflection of the dedication to giving back, and we truly appreciate their support. Currently, we are in search of new members to join the Forestville Community Fund Review Committee. If you're interested in being part of the important team, please leave your email or drop by to the sign up and sign on the sign-up sheet at the Forestville Planning Association table, or just come by for a chat. I'm also happy to announce that we are now accepting grant applications from the community, grant amounts, and grant amounts will cap at $500. Interested parties have until June 13th to submit their proposal. The goal of the community fund is to allocate resources toward projects that will provide the greatest benefits to the Forestville community. If you have a project in mind that aligns with this vision and can benefit from financial support, please grab a grant application from our table or visit 95436.org to apply. We sincerely appreciate the involvement of all community members who have participated in the process over the past nearly 2 decades. Their help has been invaluable. Thank you for your continued support and enthusiasm, which truly makes our community stronger. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Slow down on Mirabel.
Thank you very much. And we are not doing Q&A, but you can find them at the table over there. And we only have 3 more speakers. I know it's a lot to get through, but we do have Wendy Flowers up next to provide an update from the chamber. She will be followed by Chris Meredith, our West County High Schools District Superintendent, to share about visions for El Molino campus, followed by Kimberly Lambert and Max Broom to also talk about that. All right, Wendy, you want to take that one?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the meeting, and thank you for coming. If you don't know who I am, I'm Wendy Flowers, Gianni maiden name, president of the Forestville Chamber of Commerce, and I'm honored to talk to you today about what the chamber does and some of the events that we have coming up. So we invite anyone in this room to come and join the chamber, be a part of the chamber. You always need volunteers, so if you feel the need, please come and join us. Some of our events, well, first of all, if you have an event and you want it advertised, you're more than welcome to email the chamber, send your information, and we'll put it out there on social media or any of our community boards that we have in town. So as I talked about earlier, the chamber has been trimming the trees downtown as part of what we do for the town, and also giving businesses and residents some cash money when they're in need of help. And some of our events coming up are the Citizen of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, and Business of the Year dinner on April the 5th. We have the Easter egg hunt at the youth park on April the 13th from 10 a.m. until the end. And on May the 3rd, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, Steve, there's a Fix-It Fair. This is not a chamber event, but there's a Fix-It Fair here at El Molino High School from 10 to 2. Is that correct? May the 3rd. Opening day for the farmers market is going to be May 13th this year. And we're going to run the market from 4:30 to 7:30 because we feel like the vendors would get more community support because they get off work late. So we'll have it run a little bit later and end earlier because when school starts, the market kind of takes a dive. Tuesday. Opening day band is Gas Money. The Youth Park Parade is going to be on June the 7th. And if you want any more information on what the chamber does, you can visit our website. We do have applications for being a member for the farmers market and for the parade back there on our table. And last but not least, I urge you to shop local to keep our businesses thriving. Each time you shop local, you are supporting a business, a family, a dream for a thriving Forestville. Thank you.
Much, Wendy, and I want to attest to how cool the Fix-It fairs that are going on are. Your appliance that has been broken that you feel guilty to throw away, or maybe you haven't gotten around to taking it to the appropriate waste disposal site, bring that. People actually are volunteering with serious skills to fix it. Bikes, all kinds of things. It's really worth a visit. If there are things kicking around your cabinet that don't really work anymore, there are people who have amazing skill there to fix it for free, which is very awesome. Next up, we have Chris Meredith, our superintendent for the West Sonoma County Unified High School District. Chris, do you want to come on up and over here we go. Perfect. And you can take that one. Awesome. Well, great. Perfect.
Thank you Supervisor Hopkins, and I want to also thank Debbie Ramirez for inviting us. Welcome, everyone. We were given just a brief amount of time just to talk a little bit about our new school that will be starting with a freshman cohort in the fall. I was a superintendent that inherited the consolidation and was tasked with creating a vision within the current structure of the high school district to best serve students and best utilize this beautiful El Molino campus. Thank you. We've been working over the past 2.5 years to really analyze enrollment trends, student interests, and look at creating something dynamic and innovative. I'm joined by our amazing principal, Greg Alexander, who currently leads our Laguna High School, which is our long-standing continuation high school in the district. And we've really envisioned creating a community school model on this campus. I'm going to give Greg the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the educational program for what is called the Academy of Innovative Arts. And again, it will grow from a 9th grade cohort year by year until it's 9 through 12. So without further ado, I'll let Greg speak a little bit on behalf of our program.
Good evening. So yeah, we're very excited about the things that are happening on this El Molino campus. If you had a chance to walk around, we have a lot of work going on, about $1.5 million going into this place between paint and paving and roofing and all those types of things. But in terms of the educational program, we're really looking at creating a program that is innovative, provides a hands-on, project-based, interest-based experience for our students. As Mr. Meredith mentioned, community school model, and as part of Laguna High School and the Academy of Innovative Arts, we are looking to engage our community members to interact with our students and bring your skills and expertise to help our students become problem solvers, tinkerers, and creators, and really feel prepared when they leave to enter either four-year college, enter as a junior college, job market, whatever their vision of success may be. That's what we're working towards in order to prepare them for that. And so that's just a quick snapshot. I know we're short on time. Couple of things. If you do have, we also partner with Dale Doherty from the Make Foundation. So we're in the process of renovating the makerspace, which is going to be a huge part of this hands-on experience for our students. And we have an amazing founding teacher in Cole Smith, who has experienced, really building some neat stuff, tiny homes, trailers, things like that. So we envisions our students really being hands-on in that aspect. Last two things, if you're interested in learning more details, you can always reach out to me. You can find me in the main office here, and I can give you my email while we're tabling. But we also have an Academy preview night next Thursday on the 3rd from 6 to 7:30 right here. And also, last thing, Dale Doherty is going to be hosting a free maker camp over the summer. So if you know any middle school age students who may be interested, please come over and sign up. That's going to be from August 4th to August 8th, and we'll get you more information as we go from there.
And we're not doing questions on this one, but you can talk to them at the table afterwards. And I also want to say Dale Doherty is awesome. I got to see him. He was at the science fair at the fairgrounds a couple weeks ago, and there was an awesome presence from the high school district and trying to encourage students to come and apply for the 9th grade class. So students back at Elmo, that's pretty exciting. Anything to add? So there will be tours at the Maker Fair, and that is when?
Or the Fix It Fair.
So Dale Doherty will also be Dale Doherty, there we go, will also be at the Fix It Fair doing tours. So that's also something to note. Next up, we have Kimberly Lambert and Max Broom, who are going to be talking about an initiative to unify the West County K-12 schools. And Kim.
Next room, Forestville kid. I'm on the school board at Forestville Union School District. I'm currently the board chair. And I met Kimberly a couple of years ago when my board started looking into a way to create a the comprehensive high school program and unify our districts out in the river area to become one district. And Kimberly was doing the same thing. So my board asked the Sonoma County Office of Education to drill down on the unification study that the high school district had asked for before they closed down them. So we got that study back and gave us a lot of useful information. And my board is continuing on with this investigation of possible scenarios to unify the small districts out here and to create a K-12 that we can control. We're still in the early stages, but Kimberly has been fully dedicated to this, and so I'm going to turn it over to her. And thank you very much for being here.
Hi, Max already said everything I was gonna say. Anyway, thank you for letting us come and speak. And we're here to address the critical initiative, unifying our elementary school districts that feed into El Molino High School and reopening up El Molino as a comprehensive high school. This goes beyond just reopening a building. It's about creating the best educational opportunity for our rural kids. A recent unification feasibility study shows we're on the solid ground, with 7 of the 9 state criteria already have been met. Achieving the remaining criteria is possible with thoughtful planning and community collaboration. We know how wonderful our West County community is, and we care deeply about all of our kids. Our El Molino staff and students, we're a family, and we want to bring that sense of community back. We invite everyone to help shape a school system that meets the needs of our children and community. Please visit our informational table in the back and learn how you can contribute together. Together, we can create a brighter future for education. Thank you for supporting our students.
All right, and that concludes our speaker lineup for this evening. But what I'm going to do really quickly is give a rundown of everyone who's at all of these amazing tables, because now is the opportunity for you to go and ask questions. All to be up here, so potholes, permits, septics, any of those problems, I've got you covered up here. But so we do have Caltrans, we have COPE, which is the Communities Organized to Prepare for Emergencies. We have the Cook Alliance, which can talk to you about micro enterprise home kitchen resources and training. We've got Food for Thought, we've got Forestville Chamber of Commerce, we've got Forestville Elementary School, Forestville Planning Association, Forestville Skate Spot, Forestville Water District, Forestville Youth Park, and sorry if I don't point to you because I don't know where exactly everybody is, but wave crazily when I say your name. We've got the initiative to unify West County K-12 schools and reopen El Molino as a comprehensive high school. We have the Lower Russian River Municipal Advisory Council, Forestville and Hacienda area representatives, Safer West County, Sonoma County 5th District, Sonoma County Regional Parks and Public Infrastructure, Sonoma County Transit, and the West Sonoma County High School District. So that's it. And thank you all so much for coming, and see you next time.